I don't know, man, but isn't life sort of worthless? Sort of seems worthless to me when, this society who doesn't give a shit if you live or die. All these motherfuckers, I don't know how many, 90% of them never joined the military and sacrificed what they thought was for the good of all their youth, you know. Struggled with some fucking insane bullshit that the military or your own government funded programs that were defunded, and then 90% of people actually had successful lives, uh, raising families, making money in their 20s and their 30s, where I was actually living in a car, watching Veterans Day, confused and sad and despondent and fucked up as fuck. And my mom didn't want to be around me. Um, Everyone was distant from me. Um, um, it's hard for me to, and then, thank you, America. Thank you. You really have a great plan of, I don't know, it's called executing the morals and ethics in the Department of Justice, honor, pride, integrity, or justice, I'm actually in court where you would see the government will use any distraction ploy or whatever, disinformation, I don't care what you call it, but the fact that you literally could try to transfer out of the Navy and transfer into the Army and get something called a 3P, which is it's a Department of Defense code for you're fucked up medically, and you can't deploy, or and actually it's a discharge code on your discharge. A 3P is, if you get a 3P, it's a discharge code for medical discharge. That's on a DD-214. Look at the codes. DD-214 is the 3P, and a 3P while you're in service, while you're actually still in this damn fucked up contract that you can't leave, is actually a medical code for you're fucked up. You could get medically discharged, and or you have to go through all this, I'm sure, medical evaluations to get cleared for further duty, get medical treatment, something, right? Not ignore them, right? But anyways, my transfer was stopped. No one disagrees with this. The papers were hidden in another database in the Army, or the Department of Defense MEPS, U.S. MEPCOM controlled, and a separate medical database that so it needed to transfer. Needed to transfer to my Navy command, the ship I was assigned to, which never happened. There's no record of it happening. It's not in my Navy records. So they just kept me in the Navy, right? As if nothing happened, right? I'm 22, confused, sad. My body was fucked up, overwhelmed. I mean, imagine all that stress, right? And you're trapped in a contract you can't get rid of, can't resign from. They're not giving you any leadership. Just struggle, just pain. So like the girlfriend leaves you, obviously fiance. I was sad, man. I was really sad. Really sad. And so sad that, I don't know how much sadder, deplorable it could get, imagine ripping everything away from someone, their future. Maybe that's jail, maybe that's, but if someone did something bad, then you'd say that maybe they deserved it, right? But in the military, supposedly I was doing something good, right? For the benefit of all, right? Sort of a play on your mind, right? Come to find out, yeah, so the I got a code, right? The code. Well, the court is acknowledging the code. The defense is acknowledging the code, but they won't go any further. They won't examine it. Actually, that means nothing now. The code means nothing. It's without. Of course, I've submitted the evidence myself. Pro per. The only way I became. That's when I first went in there without even any legal support. I started this whole process off by uncovering this. 2014, I uncovered this through Freedom of Information Act. Uncovered this situation because I was like desperate to live. Started learning things quick, how to get your records. I tried to forget that I was in the Navy completely. I just left it behind my body and my mind. I was like, dude, that was the most worst. I mean, I don't know if a magician who experimented on kids with like torture, psychological torture mechanisms, would that be the torture mechanism, right? To make you think get you to enlist on something you think you're doing good, and then turn it on them and make them struggle with programs that they're underfunded, combat units that are underfunded, everything's underfunded, minimum manpower, below minimum manpower, and then your enlistment itself is written with loopholes, the reserve in contract that actually makes you not eligible for veteran benefits as a veteran. When you finally get to the VA, you're told to go to the VA, but then they say, no, we don't like your contract. Didn't you know that? With Congress or someone made a contract, you are uneligible because you didn't get a minimum enough active duty days over 8 years. 8 years of contracting me, and I did not get supposedly enough active duty days. Well, they never told me that when I signed up. So I mean, of course, that is legal contracting. That's that. If I did that contract with any, like at McDonald's or somewhere, that would be legal, seen as justice, and even Steven even Steven kind of, employment contract, or just contracting in general, right? Not extortionary. Not an extortion contract, not a contract to like, that could easily destroy someone, tax someone unbelievably, right? But they won't even look at these issues. They won't look at the 3P. The only way I became aware of the 3P meaning that I should have been medically evaluated and cleared for further duty, was because when I went through a veteran officer for the first time in my life, as an Air Force recruiter, down in here, the Veteran Service Organization the county has. God bless them, man. They're not looking to give you free, kudos or nothing. They look at your stuff and they tell you what's right there or not. And then, regardless, he looked at my records and he said, "What the fuck is this?" And he was a recruiter, Air Force recruiter, by the way. I was in the Navy, and I tried to transfer in the Army, and I was stopped medically, and I wasn't told why. I mean, I was confused. It was painful. It was terrible, man. Long story short, he's like, "What is this? You should not have been in the military. It was a 3P. You got a 3P. Look at it." And it's a coding system. Coding system that I'm referencing. That they know. And it's the Department of Defense coding system. He uses it as a recruiter. And it's a branch-wide. It doesn't matter if you're in the Navy, the Army, Air Force, or, people think that you need to be 10 feet taller in the Marines and 1 foot shorter in the Navy, or 300 pounds, and different weight and height ratios and different eye colors. No, different psychiatric evaluations. No, they're actually very similar. They're all similar. It's like the same Department of Defense instructions, and the only way they're going to deviate from that is if you're a pilot or some other things, like they'll give you special evaluations, medical evaluations. And so that would be it. But so long story short, that when you're just going in the military for the first time as a 18-year-old kid, you choose Army, Navy, whatever. They're you go through the same medical evaluation in the same building called METS. You stand together and you go through, touch your toes, do all the physical evaluations, which I did, and I passed the first time. The second time I couldn't pass it to transfer from the Navy to the Army. I got medically disqualified, but I did pass it 4 years previous, which makes sense because I was locked up. I was not feeling well the second time, and they stopped it, and they coded me with the Department of Defense thing that's a branch wide. It's saying you should have been medically evaluated. No ifs, ands, or buts. There's no way around it. It's a code. Anyways, they won't touch it, right? They won't. This is justice in America, right? This is my America. It's the one I served, and this is justice. They ignore even the coding that would give you the right to justice, the right to understanding your life, the right to feeling confident that they have your back, the right that this is a team effort, the right to understand that it's not all about money. So it's about feeling good and connected, you know. These people want to leave you on the streets, hope you disappear, you know, and then complain about other enemies and this, you know, or make me worry about other shit and Chinese spy balloons or whatever, some other shit, wild shit, you know. But well, you get backstabbed by your own in the court. I mean, I walk it all the way up to the court because I'm like, see, I'm gonna really find out what the system's about. You know, I think, and it helped me get my mind around what the system's really about, right? The government has a group called Department of Justice that has lawyers, but it's very interesting. Two departments in Department of Justice, multiple. They actually have a department that protects service members' rights. One protection was called USERRA, USERRA, Uniform Service or Employment Reserve something. But anyways, if you're a reservist, it's called USERRA. And the government, and this is in 1994 when I joined in 18, they created this this law, USERRA, which it basically protected service members' rights to get reemployed or employed in the reserves because they're being recalled to Desert Storm and other things that, you know, and then so getting employment after the fact, or you get ripped out of your job for an employment with the military or some active duty training to come back and still have your job ready, or, you know, if you got fucked up, disability, etc. That, you know, so this is the kind of shit that I'm realizing is like they have a department in Department of Justice that protects my rights as a reservist to have employment, right? Not suffer from injuries from military service, which I did, and not be unemployed, which happened because they never protected me with USERRA and in the service, although they have a department that protects and Department of Justice protects guys with USERRA laws. There's lawsuits about it. You probably have to be aware of it, and you have to be aware of it and able to activate it. I was young and I didn't understand it, and they're not trying to look for you and obviously not advocate for you, not analyzing and reviewing, oh, is that guy sick and is he unemployed because he's sick from military service, is he unemployed, and as a result, while he's reservist, because you're in reserve, you're in the military and you're a civilian, but are not analyzing you while you're in there saying, hey man, maybe you got beat up and destroyed in this last, you know, assignment you had, maybe we could help you with employment or, you know, some support systems. No, they just let you be homeless and unemployed, which is the counter to the why they made USERRA, so that would not happen, right? So that's one part. They are aware this happens and they want it. They don't want it to happen. But when you go to court and you sue the government because it didn't happen, which I've done, not that I want to do it, but I'm here because I want to see what the world's about. I'm glad I'm doing it. Then they won't even look at the coding. They'll be disinterested, and they won't have any intellectual um, inquisitiveness, intellectual inquisitiveness to like understand what the coding means. 3P is just two. It's a number and a letter. 3P. What does that mean? I don't know. I mean, they don't even want to look into the what's behind that. The recruiter told me what it's about. That's how I became aware of it. I started studying. There's manuals. You have to be a profiling officer. A profiling officer is someone that's designated as specifically a profiling officer, and it could be of any branch. They're designated to give you a profile. It's called a physical profile. Or it's called a pull holes, which they use the pulleys. PULEHS. It's a Department of Defense code used since the 1950s, possibly. I think it goes back to like World War II, or possibly World War II. They've been really creating these systems for decades. Just so everyone has like a standardization, right? Standardization is what the military does, and they standardize these codes, and everyone uses them, so they know what they're talking about. The Army knows what the Navy, and the Navy knows what the Army, and everyone has a similar backbone of information, which is these coding systems. And this has been around forever, but the 3P is and they're still, I don't think you needed a medical evaluation. If you needed medical evaluation, and it was required, even though it didn't happen, you still would have passed. You still would have been considered fit for duty, although you continually were complaining of symptoms all the way up till discharge, and you were in a psychiatric hospital 2 months. 2 or 3 months after discharge, I was in a psychiatric hospital, and they reference all this shit back to back to back, right? And therefore, my claim that they will deny. They did, I'm in court and they're still denying it. I mean, this is going on for 5 fucking years. Maybe 4, but this is in court, right? I mean, and in that meantime, we funded how many countries, supported other countries. We've opened the border. We've helped out thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of immigrants from other countries. I mean, endless shit that you can't. America just popping out of all angles to support everyone, everything, and they'll fight me tooth and nail, like cat scratches, to not admit that it should have been different. And